Yeah, so we just I'm gonna pull up the stream for Confide's page just in case. But usually people don't pop in there. Usually they just pop in on mine or whoever I'm doing it with. Which you're not streaming, right?
Okay, I gotcha. No, I'm not streaming. I can't stream. You and have my camera on Discord at the same time.
Okay. All right. Give it a minute or two.
Okay.
How am I at negative 1 FPS?
Nice.
Makes sense.
Are you live on the Team Confide page or
just
your page?
Both.
Okay, both. Cool. See, it doesn't show that you're live on Facebook.
Yeah, that's why I give it a few minutes. Because the notifications take a while to push out and stuff.
Oh, no, it's not even showing the video right now.
I can see it on Confide's page. And I just got the notification.
Oh.
Yeah, see? Live.
Oh. I see.
You look so orange compared to me because I'm white as fuck.
Nice.
I don't go in the sun.
Nice.
Bruce Banner and Tony Stark from Wish have come together.
What the heck? Oh, that's funny.
Sheesh. What's up, Hayden? What's up, Miller? What's up, Jesus? I'm just giving it another minute or so before we dive into the conversation.
Yeah. It doesn't show Team Confide is live. It just shows that you're live on your page.
I have Confides up on my other computer.
Oh, weird. I have it up in the browser right now. It does not say you're live.
I think Facebook just hates you.
Facebook hates everybody right now. That's the beauty of Facebook, is nobody's live and everybody's live at the same time.
You better watch your mouth. Zuck is watching.
Oh, always.
You think he doesn't have your IP address, Pack?
Oh, he's got way more than that. He's got access to all my photos. Oh yeah, no. I'm screwed if Zuck wants to go
toe to toe.
Hacker on me. Yeah, I'm screwed. He's got my deepest, darkest secrets right now.
Pack really said 100%. I want to be an Oompa Loompa. Jesus is here for you.
Nice.
Sheesh.
Well, I do. Why is it so orange? What the fuck?
I'll make myself orange with you. There you go.
Nice. Well, I have my white balance up because normally when I'm streaming, I look more white than I do, so I upped the white balance. But I didn't realize Discord was just gonna do that too.
A big Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're here. We're ready to start.
Yes, we're here.
Okay, so everyone tuning in, Jesus, Peyton, Miller, I see you guys. I don't see likes or anything, because Facebook's whack and I don't get real alerts. Lana, I see you. Maybe that's it. No one else liked, apparently, even though there's 5 reactions. I love you guys. Everyone's lit. Let's start out with the typical. We're gonna do our disclaimer. Pack and I are not professionals. We are not therapists. We have not gone to school for this. We are simply providing perspective from our own lives and how we deal with things in our day-to-day, in hopes that maybe we can provide some methods or tools that will help you guys in your day-to-day lives, or maybe we'll say something that resonates or something that you maybe feel like you needed to hear in this moment today. I know this past week, as I've heard it from actual therapists, that it's resonated with me deeply. So once again, we are not professionals. We do not claim to be professionals. We are not telling you how to take care of your mental health or what you should and shouldn't do with your mental health. We are simply providing our own perspectives and allowing you guys to provide yours in a safe space, and never fear seeking out professional help if you reach a point where you think you may need it. I personally see a therapist.
Agreed.
And I know multiple other people in Confide that see a therapist themselves, and it's not something that's bad. It's not something that's abnormal or unnatural, and it's not something that we will judge you for or that anyone else will judge you for. The other part, as per usual, I'm going to pin the comment. This is our link to our mental health playlist on Spotify, and I encourage each and every one of you, if you have any songs that have touched you this week in any way, shape, or form, with your mental health, whether it be with sadness, happiness, anger, whatever it may be, throw that music on that playlist. You're helping out a lot more people than you think. I think we're like breaching 300 songs or something, maybe even over that by now, with a lot of members adding new songs regularly. I know I add songs all the time. That way, everyone that is facing something or may need an outlet or something to listen to, if you don't have someone to talk to, that playlist is there for you guys. So without further ado, we're going to start the conversation, and this is not going to be a super heavy conversation, so we don't need to disclaim any of that or anything. It might turn heavy, but I don't think it will with Pac here. This is the first episode we've actually had Pac on. So Pac, welcome into Confidecast. I think it's a good topic to bring you into.
Yeah, I like it. We're talking about balance and whatnot, and So I mean, just in general, I think the reason why I wanted to also do this topic is just, having been a professional hacker and worked in, very high stress environments with Fortune 500 companies and whatnot, and trying to, figure out and work around high stress environment, and also still try to balance a personal life and friendships and whatnot, and also having rental properties and a bunch of other stuff on the side. It gets crazy. But so I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this topic today.
Yes, if you guys have not shared the stream out, definitely share it out. You never know who could be watching this that needs to hear something that's said. So essentially, when I was looking into balance, what inspired me to start approaching this concept is my lack of balance in my life recently. And for Father's Day, I went out and got some tattoos, and one of the tattoos, I don't know if I can really show it. I guess I can do this. Both my hands have these lines which represent balance. Essentially, like, every time I look at my hands, I'm now consistently reminded to try to keep balance in my life and how to approach that. And so I've noticed a severe lack of balance in my life in a lot of aspects that I've been wanting to approach, especially with issues that I've had that we've approached on stream in the past with my self-esteem and other such things. So essentially, what is going on with this is I was listening to a podcaster who is also a professional therapist called The Angry Therapist. He does very short episodes. It's like 10-minute episodes of kind of touching subjects as he thinks of them, and giving you sort of therapy in a shot glass is what he calls it. And it's helped me a lot. Regularly I'll go in and I'll listen and I'll hear the 10 minutes and be like, oh wow, that's something I needed to hear. And it just so happens that this week I came upon the balance episode, because I've just been doing them in order from the first episode, and just whenever I feel like I want to listen to them, I listen to the next, and then the next, and then the next. And so
that's good.
Yeah, he's excellent, and he provides perspectives that maybe we don't think of on a normal basis, because humans don't approach things, or like, it's hard to explain. We don't understand our own brains, a lot of us, because we haven't studied them. And so we don't, a lot of us will have these tendencies to go in these loops, or as we've talked about in the past, the tall grass in your brain, that you walk the path, and when you walk it so many times, it makes it easier to just keep making the same mistake because you're walking the same neurological pathway. And
sure.
So the goal is to consistently take baby steps going outside of that pathway. And so essentially he addresses 7 core needs, human needs that all humans essentially need, and kind of approaches them and explains each one, but then also explains some of the techniques and methods that he used to uh, approach those needs and to have balance between them. And those needs are emotional, sexual, mental intelligence, physical, purpose, spiritual, and then financial. Um, and so essentially, I guess I'll just like kind of sum those down real quick before we attack each one. Um, Emotional is when it comes to balance with emotional needs, it's like not only having people in your life, which could be a significant other, a family member, a best friend that you can lean on emotionally, and then taking the time to lean on that emotionally. To especially if you're an extrovert, you tend to get your energy from other people, but also
Very true.
finding alone time to deal with your emotions as well. That's all within emotional balance. And if you don't take time to do those things, then you're going to be out of balance. And I think one thing I've noticed about the concept of balance is if you're too heavy on one side, the other side suffer, and vice versa. So like the reason you want to balance everything is because if you're emotionally suffering and then not taking care of that or keeping the balance, then your physical will start suffering and your mental and everything else is just going to start losing that concept of that grip, and then eventually you're in this chaotic state where you can't take care of yourself because you're losing balance between everything else. Sexual is not necessarily having sex or living in sexual nature. It's actually more bounced off of feeling sexy, loving yourself and your appearance, and basically things that make you feel good about yourself or make you feel like an attractive human being, even if that's your own intelligence or a skill in something or working out.
Well, yeah, so like for me, like when I was having issues feeling, I think, good about myself, is I went to the gym and became a gym rat and tried to get the six pack, the pecs and whatnot. And, that definitely boosted my confidence, but it was almost like kind of almost like a self. It was like almost like a false confidence too, because it wasn't tackling the issues of why I felt bad about myself to begin with. So
Yes.
that's it. So like that goes kind of back to your point of like I'm being extra, when I'm extroverted, but still not having enough time to reflect on my feelings and how I felt about certain situations throughout the day and whatnot, and then just going to the gym and just tackling weights and whatnot and doing bench presses, squats, just punishing my body rather than seeking the answer in my mind, and that's kind of just that was the balance issue that I had, going through my early 20s and trying to figure out where do I fit in, what do I do with myself when I don't want to deal with issues that I had going through my mind.
Right, and that's actually one portion in another episode that I listened to this week that was kind of attacked was essentially, especially with emotions, keeping the emotion side balanced. There's a couple concepts that were addressed in these episodes, and it was essentially like we tend to run to or have like a sense of escapism to other things to avoid having to deal with emotions or having to deal with stress or anxiety. One of those things is food. A lot of people will run to food to feel better instead of just taking care of what they need to take care of. They'll eat chocolate cake or whatever it may be that will then take their mind away from the things that they're struggling with. Another one is exercise. Some people, will instantly like go on a run or do something to physically exert themselves to remove them from the concept of dealing with their own emotions. And so like these kind of distractions are actually bad for your balance, as good as exercise is for you. If you're solely focusing on exercise and not focusing on your own, like let's say mental intelligence or your emotions, then you're going to lose balance, and in the long term you're not going to be happy because you don't have the balance that you need to provide for overall yourself. And I think in the it's like I said, 7 core needs. Everybody needs these things. It's not you can't just run forward without them and then expect happiness to fall in your lap. And so
right
which for me, physical is one of the ones I lack. I don't get motivated easily to get up and exercise. And as far as the sexual thing, I've been taking steps towards, like taking care of my beard more, for example, is something that I started doing recently. Instead of just letting it go fucking complete like wild man, I've actually
full caveman. Yeah.
I took the time to like watch a YouTube video and like learn how to shape it and
There you go.
shit like that I've never really taken the time in my life to do, and made my first attempts at like making it not look fucking crazy. And afterwards, and I felt more confident,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of goes towards one of the things for mental health is small. I call it small wins. So find a small thing that's been bothering you and just go all in, ham on it, and just try to figure out what can I do to do better in this area or do something like that. So like, yeah, for like facial hair and whatnot, that's a huge thing for me, and keeping this all trimmed and neat and whatnot. And so that's just it's a good escape, and it's a good way of getting yourself motivated into small wins, because as you keep tackling little challenges and whatnot, it kind of keeps your mind going in a way or in a direction where you can start tackling even larger and larger tasks. So I worked up to tackling like the outside of my house and whatnot. So that was like my whole thing is like, I hate working on the outside of my house. I hate it. But I started working up slowly to like, oh, I want to decorate like this corner of my bedroom, get it like this and put some like artwork up and whatnot. So I like tackle small corners of my house, like in certain rooms. And then I start building up to, oh, I want to decorate the entire room now, and like with this style and whatnot. So I start off very small, and I try to keep growing and growing with it, just in whatever I'm trying to do. So yeah, a beard is a great way of getting a small win and keep you going in the right direction.
Definitely. And I think that so that's basically the sexual one, is feeling confident in yourself and taking the steps towards feeling confident in yourself, or things that can help you feel confident in yourself. The next one is mental intelligence. Mental intelligence is essentially doing the smaller things that make you feel smarter. Reading a book. There's other things that can make you feel smarter, like doing science experiments, or maybe you're passionate about music and you start learning more music theory, stuff like that. I think someone's trying to come in my studio.
Sorry, letting the dogs out.
And then I think essentially with mental intelligence, this one's important to take time, whether it be reading, writing. Maybe you like math. I don't know who likes math, but maybe you like math. And
I like math. Yeah. I like math. Yeah, going to that point, solving mathematical equations or programming or doing robotics with equations like sine waves, cosine, and whatnot. Yes, that is a passion of mine that helps me get through and kind of mentally fortify myself in a way where I know what I'm doing is going to help me later on. So I'm trying to do this so that way then it's not just like a fun thing and like I'm just going to do once. It's a skill, and I'm going to keep building off of that and keep going with it. And so, that's where I get all my electronics work from and build all my technology off of.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of these tie into each other. So when you're looking at these 7 core needs, these tie into each other. In chat, if you guys have methods that you approach to gain whatever topic it may be, and you want to share it, feel free to share it. If you have questions, if you're like, man, I'm really struggling with this one, what do you guys think? You can ask chat, you can ask us. We'll be answering questions throughout it and doing our best to share our experiences. Pac and I are 2 very different human beings. Very, very, very different human beings. So like we do things completely different than one another. Like he's an extrovert. I'm definitely more introverted. He is a tech whiz and a little math nerd. And I am an artist when it comes to like music and that outlet of things. Like I like writing, so like our brains work very differently. I'm a very like emotional person to the extent of like my sadness being a big part of my inspiration, but also my identity. Whereas Pac carries a smile on his sleeve like all the time, every time I ever see him, and he conceals the sad part of him. So like there's a very big difference in the type of people we are. So it's good to have those perspectives. Next one,
I always want to put out positive vibes.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Yeah, that's just the extrovertness in me, not wanting to be a burden on anybody else with my problems.
100%.
Yeah.
So the next one's physical. Physical, you may think is obvious. You may, oh yeah, just go run or go lift weights. But truly, physical can be playing frisbee golf. It can be going on a walk. It can be simple things like throwing a football with your friend or riding a scooter. As long as it's like, it doesn't have to be difficult, I guess is what I'm getting at. All it has to do is, it's just your body actively doing something physically. It's not about necessarily losing weight or anything like that. It's more about the chemicals that are released in your brain when you are physical. Now, obviously, losing weight and stuff is a perk, and that's also a direct application to the sexual need. So, physical doesn't necessarily have to be hardcore exercise. It can be just making it a point to go to a park with your dog as often as you can, or something along those lines. The concept of the balancing is making time for everything, and as you start to shift these balances, maybe at first it's very little physical, but then you start to realize how it affects you, and it grows, and your balance starts shifting until you find the balance that makes you comfortable or that makes you happy. The next one is purpose. I was listening to an interview from XXXTentacion, and one big topic he covered was purpose. And he couldn't express it enough, but that the universe does not create your purpose, and no one else can tell you what your purpose is. The only person in the world that can create your purpose is you. And so, like, a lot of people have this feeling of unworthiness, or feeling like they're not going to leave their mark on the world because they're just not good enough, or that they're not going to be able to do it. And I think that we as humans fail to comprehend that we self-actualize a lot, and that the law of attraction is a very real thing, and that when we say things about ourselves, those things become true. So if you want your purpose to be something, speak on it, approach it, and be that thing instead of speaking against it. Be your own cheerleader type of deal. Approach your purpose, find out what you want to be. For me, I want to be able to touch other people's lives. When I stream, that's the whole reason I do it, is because I want to, even if it's just one person, I want to be able to change someone's perspective for the better, to help them get through their day to day. And in that, I find peace within myself, but I also have a massive purpose with wanting to leave my art behind, so that when I'm gone, I'm still helping people in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of people have a common purpose of wanting to help others.
That's very similar to what I wanted to do when I got into streaming. Was I wanted an escape from my job, my real world, and the high stress environment, and just make people laugh and smile and play games or hang out, and just change people's perspective on things, and having like a little message at the end of each stream, or like a goal of sharing wisdom and knowledge, and kind of opening up others to other ideals and whatnot that they wouldn't normally come across if they just sat at home and did nothing, that kind of thing.
Yes. So with that, everyone, you don't just have one purpose. There's many purposes. There's small purposes, there's big purposes, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. They can affect many different things. You could wake up this morning and your purpose that day could just be for yourself, to make yourself smile, to be happy. You could have a purpose of being able to be a place of solace, or a person that can provide solace to someone else. For those of you that don't know what solace is, it's comfort in a time of distress. So there's many different forms of purpose. There's deeper purpose. There's also smaller purposes. But the balance there is understanding your purpose. I know a lot of people that thrive on helping others, and that's their sense of purpose. But then I know a lot of other people that have a completely different sense of purpose that's more self-centered, and it's not selfish, it's just what their purpose is maybe in that time in their life their purpose is to serve themselves and their own happiness.
And here's the thing with that too, is like, it's okay to be selfish. It's not okay to be 100% selfish all the time, but you always have to you have to keep in mind to always put yourself first, because nobody else is going to do that for you, right? So when it comes to like your own mental health and your own happiness and whatnot, you can't expect others to give that to you. You have to get that yourself. So it's okay to be selfish in that regard.
And then the next one is spiritual. spiritual can tie with purpose. It can tie with every other one. Like, I think they all kind of just tie into each other. But essentially, spiritual does not necessarily mean religion. It could mean religion for you, but it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I have to go to church, or I need to read the Bible, or I need to read the Quran, or I need to meditate and get into Buddhism. Spiritual can be as simple as going out to a garden and smelling the flowers. It can be taking a moment in as it is instead of focusing on the future or the past. The spiritual balance is different for every single human being.
It's about connection. It's about finding your connection with everything around you. So if you like going smelling flowers, going on walks that way, and just being connected to the world around you in real time and being present, that's a huge spiritual connection that you can have. You know, that's kind of what I like to do. Is I like to go out. I like to experience other people around me and be in the moment and understand them and listen to them and hang out with them, you know, crack some jokes maybe. But that's just how I try to find my spiritual connection, is understanding where I'm at on, you know, on this planet, and like where I'm at physically, you know, in the moment, and just realizing that there's a lot happening around me even if I don't see it. And that's how I find my spiritual connection.
And some may find it through themselves as well, your connection within yourself, whether it be through animals, because we've had a podcast about animals where we discussed not only emotional and mental effects of a pet, but even wildlife and spirit animals like Native American culture and stuff like that. Meditation. There's many different forms of spiritual balance that you can obtain, and there's many different ways to approach it. What matters is that you're approaching something that helps you and that you're keeping and maintaining that balance. And then the last one is financial. This one's an obvious one that everyone has to have to some extent in our society. I think the sad part about this one is it is completely like society based, because you know there are people that are self-sustained, right? And they may live off the grid and not really have to pay for anything, and they're eating the stuff they grow. And but at the end of the day, even if you're not getting paid in money, you're getting paid in the food that you have to work for and stuff like that. So like the financial concept is just being able to approach your basic needs, and even wants. You need money to be able to approach those things in society. And if you like, I think one big thing about that is essentially understanding that a lot of stress and anxiety and mental anguish for a lot of people is their lack of money, their lack of being able to pay for the roof over their head, or pay for the car that gets them from point A to point B, or pay for the phone that provides them with their social abilities. So working is important. The harder part is being able to not only work, but to be able to balance that with the other 6 things. So that's the 7. And we're not experts, but now we'll approach essentially each one more in depth with how each of us kind of takes on these sources of balance. Maybe we're lacking in some, or maybe, you know, no one's ever going to be perfect. No one's going to have perfect balance. But when we approach what we're lacking, maybe we'll start to approach plans to rebalance ourselves, because it's a daily task. It's not always going to be perfect, and some days you're going to be more balanced in one way as opposed to another. And
so here's a motto that everybody should keep in mind throughout all of mental health podcasts or research or learning or just throughout life: is progress, not perfection. Everything should always just be a progression. You're not trying to shoot for perfection. Nobody's ever going to be perfect, but we can always progress to the next level. And there's infinite levels, and that's just it. So always have this motto in mind: is progress, not perfection.
mm-hmm. So
That's kind of my motto, trying to get through. Whenever I try to be perfect, it's like I can't, but I can try and progress and get to the next day.
it always, like, I think the number one saying on this podcast through and through with every person that we've done it with is just the concept of baby steps, which is the same thing.
Yes.
It's just, you're not going to take leaps and bounds towards this success, and you're not going to automatically create these pathways that you want, or the healthier pathways that you're going to be taking. It's going to be small steps, small baby steps along the way, and eventually you're going to cover a long distance. But
the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Exactly.
That sort of thing. Yep.
So, and it kind of puts it in your head as not, it makes it less difficult in a way to approach these things, because people will see, I think one common thing is, you'll see another person and you'll be like, well, they're doing this good and everything, and I'm not, especially in the streaming world. It's a very big thing for streamers, is they'll watch someone and be like, wow, this guy's got 150 viewers, he's making this much money and blah blah blah, and he's doing exactly what I do, but he's up here and I'm down here. And then you start to kind of like beat yourself up and think, well, what's the point, or what can I do, or what am I supposed to do differently to get this, and everything in between. I think that when you just take a step back and think baby steps, because that person that's there, all they were doing the entire time was taking their baby steps, and that's all you can do is take your baby steps, and it's going to take you where you go. But as long as you're moving forward, then you're making some sort of progression, and there's not a finish line. There's not, like, stop thinking about the finish line concept, because you think that this person that you're looking at that's doing so much better than you has reached the finish line. You're like, oh, if I could just get there, I'll be happy. But you won't. You just won't. Like, you'll get there, and then you'll be looking at the people up, and then you'll get there and you'll be looking at the people even higher consistently. And instead of using that as a terms of demotivation, use that as a terms of motivation, and comprehend that you're never going to reach a finish line. You're always going to want more. You're always going to want to obtain more. That's just human nature. And make your baby steps to obtain that. And so, starting off with the emotional aspect, I think the big things that I do for my emotional balance is listening to music, playing music, singing along to music. Helps me a lot with, especially music that relates to things that I'm going through. Helps me a shit ton. It makes me more aware. I think one of the harder things about me with emotions that I've had to realize recently was I tend to cling to them, especially if it's sadness. And when I cling to it, it wraps around me and I kind of get engulfed in it, and then I can't get out of the sadness. And that's depression. That's what that is. But instead of clinging to it, I've been practicing distancing myself from it. And that doesn't mean ignoring your emotions, because you don't want to ignore your emotions, because that shifts it. It's not going to get rid of them. It's going to bottleneck them, and you're going to blow up.
Right. And going back to, like the finish line thing with emotions and whatnot, it's very easy to succumb to emotions when you're trying to compete with somebody else that you think you should be at the same point as, where they are. But it just gets into just a mentality, a feedback loop of, oh, I want to be where this person is. Oh, I'm not. Okay, I'm going to slump into my sadness and put all the blame on others why I'm not where I'm at right now. I'm going to put blame on like a platform, like, if you're a streamer and whatnot, and things along those lines. So it's going back to just emotions and then competing with others. It's a bad feedback loop, and it gets you down. You got to break that feedback loop through other, ways of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I'm trying to just go off of just the idea that if we let emotions control our actions, then we're always going to be slaves to them.
Right. Ryan says the Zen version is, if you try to follow someone up the ladder, you'll always be looking at their feet. Jesus says, so that's depressed? Sure. So that is a form of depression. It comes in many different forms. There's smiling depression. There's very hidden depression. I think when you talk about that finish line concept, from an emotional standpoint, you can be looking at someone, like I can look at Pac and say, man, he's always happy. What can I do to get to where he's at? But the thing is I'm not Pac, so I don't know what he's struggling or when. Like, every single human being on this planet feel sadness, they feel anger, they feel every other emotion that you feel. They just
Yes.
treat it differently or approach it differently, and your perspective on them is not what they're feeling. So I can't look at Pac and have a finish line mindset like I'm just going to be him, you know, because then look at people like Robin Williams or Chester Bennington, who, like, Chester committed suicide after buying a $21 million estate for his new family with 6 kids. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what you think happiness is, or when you think someone's happy, just understand that we as humans have a natural response to put on a mask. We want everyone to think we're okay, even if we're not. That's just a natural thing that humans do. The point at which depression, and this is something that came straight out of my therapist's mouth, when I was talking to her about my depression specifically, was she asked me if I could pinpoint the feelings and the causes of those feelings that caused me to go into states of depression, or to states of flooding is what I like to call it, because it feels like, you know, like in the Titanic scene where the boat's flooding and they're stuck in a room and he's handcuffed to the thing or whatever, and the water's just coming up and you can't do anything about it. That's the concept of flooding for me. Is like, that's what sadness does. And it's like, I can't get out of the handcuffs. I'm just stuck there waiting for the water to drown me. Essentially, when I was able to identify the feelings, that gave me the ability to comprehend them, be aware of them, but also to learn how to distance myself from them. And if you don't have like reasons for that sadness, or you don't have feelings that you're able to comprehend, that may mean you need medication. That may mean that you have a chemical imbalance of some sort, and there's many different medications, and you're not just going to take the first one and it's going to work. It could be 3 different medications that you have to try before you reach that point. Don't think that you're abnormal or that you deserve any less or anything if you have to take medication to feel happiness or to get away from uncontrollable sadness, because at the end of the day, your life is worth taking medication for, as opposed to you being not on this earth and being able to leave the imprint that you have. And so essentially, when you approach the concept of needing to take medication, your brain is an organ in your body. Just remember that. And just like your kidneys can fail, just like you can get cancer or whatever the case may be, your body can fail. You can get Parkinson's. Your brain can fail. There's things that can happen in your brain, and that's not your fault. And it is something that you have to take care of. So essentially,
and one thing with that too is it's medication is asking for help, and I know a lot of people have a lot of pride, right? And it's a very prideful thing to say, like, oh, I don't need that, I can probably figure it out, you know, tomorrow, or I'll figure it out, you know, when I do, you know, that kind of thing. So and asking for help, even for me, is still a challenge. But what I've started practicing more and more is asking for help with little things, like, oh, do you mind handing me this or handing me that, like, or like, oh, hey, you're right there, like, can you do that for me? Or hey, or where are you at, like, in the city right now? Are you near this place? Do you mind picking me up? You know, this, I was wanting to go out anyways and grab that, but are you near that area right now? So it's like, it's little tiny things that you just want to start building up to, and then have that conversation of, okay, now I think I can ask for help now. Let me see if I can ask for help for my own personal mental health. That's something that helped me with just how to get around that. Now, I don't take any medication for depression and whatnot, but I think that this could be a good tool to at least help somebody work up to asking for help to start taking medication and whatnot.
well, yeah, and for those of you that look up to Confide or see us in a different light, Raz opened up about his medication that he takes for his depression. I don't take medication. I'd prefer to avoid taking it, but I've also had deep thoughts within myself of the possibility and being able to be okay with taking it. So it's not, you're not the only person that will go through that conflict if you are going through that. And just know that you're not alone. But that's a lot of the emotional thing. I think one other big part of that, when it comes to distancing yourself from your emotions, visual meditation can help. So One of the ones that helped me a lot was the concept of strings being attached to your brain and to these thoughts that are causing you these emotions, and then taking scissors and in your head visualizing you cutting the strings, disconnecting them from your brain. That doesn't mean that you're not aware of the emotions. It just means that you're disconnecting yourself from them. You're not letting them swarm you, so to speak. Another one is called filtering, and it's like you put a filter on your forehead, and you're aware. The important thing is awareness. You're aware of every single thought. So the practice is going through your day, every single thought that you're thinking of, you need to recognize if it's positive or negative. And we've covered this in our distractions episode if anyone wants a more in-depth thing. But essentially, the negative thoughts you take and you swipe out and you throw it into space, whereas the positive thoughts you allow to be there and you visualize them drifting off into space. The other one that's been helping me a lot this week is viewing your emotions from the perspective like they're in a snow globe. So you have control. You're holding the snow globe. You can shake it up. You can watch all the things fall and everything, and kind of visualizing that, you know, this is the stuff I'm feeling. These are the things, the reasons I'm feeling these things, or these are what I'm really attached to. But instead of them flooding you, you're being aware of them, but you're putting the distance in between yourself and them, which is a healthier way to be aware of your emotions and be able to comprehend them and process them. And it's not always going to be easy, but those are multiple different visualization techniques that you can use to approach emotional balance. And for me, those are things that I've been doing to approach my emotional balance, as well as expressing myself through writing, through my art, and just talking to people when I need to talk to people, whether it be my wife and girlfriend or other confide members, because I am able to reach out to them and talk to them if I need a friend, or my parents or my brothers. I think it took me a while to realize how many people I had in my corner, until I really started like assessing everything and started the process of bettering my own self-esteem and just taking the baby steps. And as I take more baby steps, I can look back and see the distance that I covered and see all of the people that have been there along the way for me mentally. And so those are things that have helped me. What about you?
Well, I just want to quickly address a comment from Jesus about he says, I just believe some medication just keeps you from feeling things, and I've always believed that you have to face your emotions, even though most of the time you might not know what it is. So with that though, I mean, a lot of times too, some medication is actually just about balancing just chemicals in your brain, so then you don't think about the bad things that you are feeling at the moment. So it's not that it really stops you from feeling things. It corrects. It potentially could correct certain medications. Now, obviously, there's different medications for different things, but at least for that kind of statement, that you gotta be careful, because you don't want to say that medication just stops you from feeling things. It doesn't. It helps correct a chemical imbalance in your brain, so that you can start thinking about the right things and how to tackle the right things in the right way. So it's not about suppressing anything. It's just about shifting focus.
So to take that into perspective as well,
Yeah.
There's multiple things. For instance, let's say melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
When you take melatonin, you're not ceasing your ability to stay awake.
Mm.
You're helping your brain with the stuff that it is struggling to provide to get you to sleep.
Right.
When you're taking serotonin, it's the same concept. Serotonin is a chemical released in your brain when things happen, like getting high, or adrenaline rushes, or things that make you happy, like receiving a gift. Some people don't naturally produce serotonin in their brain, so they have more of an inability to feel happiness because their brain isn't working correctly. The chemicals aren't being released correctly. So when you put serotonin, it could be 5 milligrams, it could be more, it could be less, that could be helping you approach happiness and also helping you approach your sadness and how to deal with it in a healthier way. Some people need that help. Some people don't. And it's that response that you have that you're not facing your emotions and that you're keeping yourself from feeling things. I think that you could say the same thing about how you lean on comedic relief to keep yourself from feeling things. When something serious is going down, a lot of the times, instead of speaking your mind or facing yourself or facing your emotions on a topic, you revert straight to laughing and making yourself laugh. It's which releases serotonin in your brain. It's the same concept. It's just you're able to do it naturally. Some people aren't. Some people don't have that gift that you have, and they need the help to obtain that thing. And so it may not be you needing it, and you may be able to face it, but there's a lot of people in this world that just can't. They don't have the capability because of something that doesn't exist in their brain. A lot of people can't sleep because their brain doesn't provide melatonin. Does that mean that they should just face it and try to force themselves to sleep when they can't? No, it means that they should probably get help, right? So I think that that's a big concept of medication and understanding. Because for me, I'm a very big controlling person. So with my struggle with the medication was I didn't want to take medication and then lose a sense of control over some of the things that I like to be able to control. But the thing is if I can't control my emotions, then I already don't have the control. And some people need that to obtain that control. And that's what I had to start to realize. And for instance, like with people that have taken Adderall for their ADHD, there's different people. There's people that will take Adderall and it'll zombify them and they'll hate it because it takes away their personality. But then there's people that will take it and they'll zap up and they'll just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. It's different. It's different people, you know, and your brains react to things differently. So what you need may be completely different than what another person needs. But what's important is that you're getting the help that you need to approach your own happiness and to keep and maintain that emotional balance.
Yeah, so going back to like the Adderall thing, I was on Adderall and Ritalin as a kid, and that was terrible. I was, as you said, zombified, and very, very different while on the medication versus off and whatnot. So that was obviously not the correct thing to do for me at the time. However, parents and doctors were just trying to figure out the best thing to do and try different things and throw things at the wall and see what sticked. And unfortunately, none of that really stuck too well. But yeah, I actually really disliked being on Adderall and Ritalin and whatnot. And just it like what you said, it's zombified. You stop reacting to things normally. You're just like, oh, cool.
Well,
you just move on.
We live in a society where most people are going and working 60% of their life. And then the other 40%, they're expected to take care of themselves and their kids. And the problem with that is instead of being able to take the time that your kids may need for conversations like how meditation could help you or how you getting proper exercise could help you exert the energy that you're not exerting, which is why you're acting hyper or whatever it may be, we take you to a doctor and then the doctors are like, cool, Adderall. Right. That's the problem with the society we live in right now. And so, yes, some medications are bad for some people. Adderall does help some people. As much as there's a stigma behind Adderall, there are some people that do benefit in their ability to control their energy and their ability 100%. To get things done throughout the day because of Adderall. But then there's a lot of people that they can't take it because although it may increase your focus, it destroys every other part of your personality that provides emotional or physical or mental balance. And so I think when it comes to that, you got to do what's best for you. You got to approach medical professionals that you trust. And if you're taking something and it doesn't feel right, then approach taking something else. But never give up. Always take your baby steps and understand there's never a finish line.
I also really liked Ryan's comment about, first step should always be a health checkup because, just having improper nutrition could be a trigger for some feelings. I really like that statement, Ryan. Yes, always talk to a doctor, see if there's a faster, easier fix than medication first, and then as you go through a remediation plan or a health plan with your doctor, then yeah, that then it could lead to medication potentially too. But yeah, it always talk to a doctor about anything you're feeling, because that should always be the first step, always.
Yeah,
And talking
and
to friends and having the motivation to talk to a friend and then have them help guide you too,
and
and having a support system.
that's a big part of that balance thing too. Is the physical can play into the emotional because um,
Mhm.
working out and working your muscles out actually helps your brain release a lot of those chemicals that can make you feel happy. Whereas if you don't work out, you can suffer from fatigue. And one thing I notice about myself is when I suffer from fatigue or I haven't gotten enough sleep, my sadness has a significant more amount of power over me. And so, like, there's a lot of things that can play into feeling sad or feeling angry or feeling some type of way that may solely be because of something that you're doing in your life that you shouldn't be doing, and you may already know about it, and you just need help approaching it. And there's avenues that you can take to approach things like lack of sleep or lack of exercise. But always just take, all you can do is take the baby steps and understand that you're going to stumble sometimes and you're not going to be perfect, and the journey is not going to be an easy one. It never is. But at the end, when you look back, if you keep taking those baby steps, you're going to see that distance that you've covered, and you're going to feel a sense of pride within yourself, and a sense of happiness achieved. So when it comes to emotional balance, that's a big thing to approach, and understand that emotional balance is incredibly important. In your
Yeah.
personal opinion, when would someone know that they need medication? What determines to yourself, like, hey, dude, you need medication? So I think my personal opinion and Pac's personal opinion, we're not professionals. I'm going to say what I said already about my therapist. I suggest going to see a therapist. If you are even remotely thinking you need help, go to see a therapist and trust their opinions. My
Yes.
therapist mentioned medication couple meetings back because of my emotions, but the way she approached it was, if you're feeling depression to the point that you can't control it. So, like, for me, my flooding episodes would be caused by thoughts from the past, things that have been done to me, etc., etc. And so I would be thinking about those things, and it'd cause other thoughts like worthlessness or poor self-esteem, beating myself up, and then I would engulf in those things. What's
And
helped me is being able to approach those with the techniques like visual stuff and everything, and I've been able to have control over it. But if you don't have, like, if you're just sad for no reason, you don't have a reason for feeling upset like that, or you don't have a reason for feeling angry or whatever it may be, that you have such a lack of control, that's when I would say start approaching talking to someone about medicine.
yeah, and just to echo that a bit, there's no moment that's gonna flick on of whether or not you need medication. Like, as far as is my personal opinion, and again, reflecting with Cass that and not being a professional, but having a couple of friends that have mental health issues, it wasn't a light switch for them when they knew that they needed medication. It was they oh, excuse me, as I die over here. Sorry, excuse me.
It's okay, water.
Water's good. Water's great. Um, it wasn't a light switch. It was, they went through the motions of trying to figure out what's going on with them and whatnot, and talking to friends, family, and then eventually they got to a point where it was like, okay, well, now I've kind of reached the end of my rope here, trying to figure out what to do, and then having good friends that they've reached out to, and then having that talk of okay, let's go see a doctor, let's go take you to a doctor, let's go take you to a therapist, and see what they say about all this stuff. Maybe do some blood work, some nutritional work, see what's going on, sleep analysis, things along those lines. So it's not whether or not a moment of like, oh, you need medication like right now, like you got these signs here. Like, it's not like there's like all these signs that say like you need medication now. It's a slow build up to maybe what you need to talk to a doctor, and see what they say. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
The reason I ask is because my dad has threatened and jumped off of a house and tried to take his life. He got evaluated by a professional, and all they said was it's a personality trait. He manipulates people. So his emotion and personality, different sides, and one gets ignored. So it sounds to me like that doctor was being insensitive to the situation, and I think that they didn't give you guys closure on whatever was happening in the time, and I think that there's a lot of doctors and therapists out there that suffer from compassion fatigue, and instead of being compassionate, they're so worn out from not maintaining their own mental space that they, even if it's an accident or whatever, they don't have the compassion to help you. And so it's important to find doctors and therapists with compassion. We don't pay for our health insurance and everything in between to go to someone that's not going to take care of us. So my recommendation in that situation is to go see someone else. As far as emotion and personality being different, personality is formed from not just like who you are, but the experiences that you go through will create your personality. Emotion is the ways in which you deal with the things that you go through. So they tie hand in hand, but it's not the exact same thing. And to brush off a suicide attempt, whether it was manipulation or not, just sounds ignorant to me. It just sounds like someone who may be suffering from compassion fatigue themselves and just didn't have compassion towards the person that was suffering from whatever it may have been. So in my opinion, I would seek professional help from someone else who actually cares enough to dig deeper into the situation and provide the help that he needs.
Agreed. It also goes back to a comment from Ryan a little farther up. It says, no matter how much you trust your doctor, you have to know your own diagnosis, and that's a very good point. Is we have to look out for ourselves, we have to look out for others, and if they're not getting good advice or they're not getting a good diagnosis from their doctor, then yeah, it's time for a second opinion.
Yeah, your first therapist isn't always going to be the right person. For me, I got really lucky. I got to my therapist, and she was everything I needed and more. But then I've had other people that will get a therapist and they're like, this just isn't it. I don't click with this person, whatever it may be. And that's okay. It's okay to, there are so many therapists in this world. You can find someone else. I promise. Just don't give up on yourself. That's what's important.
Sure.
And going forward from that, I would say, essentially, as far as all of that goes, just remember that we're not medical professionals and we're not going to be able to tell you if you should or shouldn't be on medication or what steps you should take. We can only tell you from our own experiences about how we approach things. So closing out of emotional, let's move, because that's going to be that's obviously the deepest, heaviest. That was going to be a really time constraining. We just talked for like 30 minutes just on that one of the 7. So we're going to move forward to the sexual ways that we have approached making ourselves feel sexier. And I think for me, like I said, I've been working on my beard. I have been growing my hair out again, which for me, like my hair, I could shave my head and still feel fine. I can grow it out and feel fine. But as I've been growing it out, I've been getting a lot of compliments, and it definitely makes me feel better because people like my hair. My tattoos are another big one. When I get tattoos and people compliment my tattoos, it makes me feel sexier. It makes me feel like my physical appearance is good and better. And so that's nice. Going and getting a tattoo is a really big thing. For some people, it may be like going to get a pedicure, or another one for me that helps me a lot is going to the dentist and getting my teeth cleaned whenever I have those appointments. As much as, people don't like the dentist, because I don't fucking like going to the dentist. I don't like the act of it. I don't like sitting there with my mouth open and letting them destroy my mouth. But then afterwards, I feel like more confident smiling, because after you get your teeth cleaned, your teeth just look significantly nicer. So that's another big one. I think one thing that helps me a lot too is the feeling after you work out. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you like the pump.
Yeah.
You want to pump it up. Yeah, you like the pump.
I don't
Sorry.
like all the pain the few days later.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you don't like the soreness. You want to feel that pump.
Yeah, you're bigger.
Yeah. Exactly.
Your muscles are bigger as soon as you tear them the fuck apart. So like you just like you look and feel better.
Exactly.
So
and going back to the dentist really quick too. Funny enough, I'm weird. I actually love the dentist because I love that clean teeth feel afterwards. It's like a brand new car smell, you know, but in your mouth. And so like yeah, that's I'm weird because so I have actually a really funny relationship with my dentist and some of the nurses and health professionals over there. We actually have fun and actually have a good laugh and whatnot, and like it's a kind of a fun experience for me going there and knowing everybody, knowing all their names and whatnot, and be like, oh hey, how's it going? How was that one thing you did that past weekend? Oh, I saw you at this place, because I actually run into my dentist quite often at the Mall of America. Very weird, but it's like, or a dental hygienist. And it's a very weird thing, but it's kind of like the thing that we've kind of built a relationship around, and so I actually do enjoy going to the dentist.
Hey, how's that mouth doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, I got that thing figured out. You know what I'm saying? I finally flossed this week. You know what I'm saying?
You said have sex with the dentist. Sure.
Oh my god, yeah.
Would that be oral sex?
Oh my god. Holy shit! Yep.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Okay, so
anyways,
I think the sexual one, feeling sexy, is just
yeah.
Oh, here's another big one that can help people. Go out and buy clothes that make you feel good and confident. Super easy. Like no matter what size person you are, wearing nice clothes or dressing nicely can make you feel significantly more confident in yourself.
It's true. It's very true. Getting some nice business clothes, like when I was going to client offices and whatnot. Oh, putting on clothes and whatnot, and putting on I got like a new leather jacket. This is like in 2016 and whatnot, and I just got some new business clothes, and like I felt different. I felt more confident, and people I think noticed and whatnot. People don't really hold the door for me usually at this time of back in 2016. So then all of a sudden I come in, I'm confident. I've got my clothes figured out. I'm looking all good and whatnot. And then all of a sudden like people are holding doors for me. People are looking at me and whatnot. It's like, do I have like toilet paper in my shoe? Like what the heck's going on? It's like no, it was an attitude change. And so clothing was very very important to me for feeling very sexually confident. And so like that, I agree wholeheartedly that clothes. Like that was a huge part for me to figure out like how to feel sexy. And yeah,
with this topic we're not going to spend too much time on this one because in 2 weeks on the 27th, so not even in 2 weeks, in a week and a day, on the 27th, so next Sunday, not tomorrow but next Sunday, the Sunday after Father's Day, we're actually having a confidence coach on the podcast. He's written a book on confidence. He is an excellent he was supposed to be on a while back, but he had a family emergency, and so we rescheduled, and so that's happening. And he's going to have a lot of tips and advice for how to approach a confident lifestyle, how to be confident, and everything in between. So outside of the things that we just talked about, we'll move forward into mental intelligence, which is a big one for both me and Pac, and I'm sure for a lot of other people. I think that a lot of people, everyone wants to feel smart. I think that's a valid statement, right? Everyone wants to feel smart.
I want to be a dumbass.
Like,
no, I want to be dumb. Can I lose some IQ points, please? And then just add a few more inches somewhere else, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just play Fortnite. Just play Fortnite like all the time. You'll be like me.
I would give up 50 IQ points for a few more inches somewhere else.
For some building skills in Fortnite, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, building skills. Yes. Yeah.
I know how it is.
Yeah.
So, that's one big reason Fortnite's such a fun game is because of the mental intelligence in a lot of situations. You have to learn. Yeah. That's one thing about video games in general. especially competitive ones, or even like games like the Resident Evil games where you have to figure out puzzles. It takes a certain extent of mental intelligence to overcome challenges that are provided in certain video games. So video games are actually a good source of stretching your mental intelligence. Like we said earlier, reading books, you can read any kind of book and you're stretching your mental intelligence. But to stretch it even more, maybe read or watch documentaries that are teaching you something that you care about or are passionate about, right? Lose IQ and gain as inches somewhere else. 2021.
I really like that comment. That's going on a t-shirt, I swear.
And so essentially, when you think about intelligent people, who do you think about?
I think of Einstein. I think of a lot of people along those lines. I also think of people that are emotionally intelligent, and people that really pick up on how somebody else is feeling in a certain given point. Or it's so like, yeah, I mean, Stephen Hawking, things along those lines. So yeah,
So you jump
that's who
to geniuses. You jump
I
to the Elon Musks of society, the people that are getting us to Mars, or Einstein, who's coming up with these concepts of relativity and all that shit, right?
Right.
I think when I see or think of someone intelligent, I think of it from especially, I'm just going to come out and say it, like the people who create animes and can create these stories that touch people's lives, the people that started from the bottom and then achieved a musical career that led them to playing shows that are bigger than anyone else, like Marshmello being able to play the very first video game concert. It takes a certain amount of intelligence to achieve those kinds of things. People like and I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, it's a very weird sense of intelligence, but Tekashi 6ix9ine, he literally like started from the bottom. I watched a documentary on it, and he did everything that he could to become famous. And actually, when you look at it and you listen to the story and like see everything, he was really smart about pretty much everything he did. Like, every human's gonna make mistakes. Like, yeah, he snitched, right? It's fucked up, it's stupid, people don't like snitches, people don't like Tekashi 6ix9ine, but he was so smart in the way that he did things, and now look where he's at, compared to someone who doesn't use their brain to achieve what they want to achieve. And I think it kind of shows this side, because like a lot of people think that it just blew up and it just happened, and some people get lucky, right? But there's certain situations where it's like, nah, he didn't just get lucky. Like, dude went out of his way to go get a giant 69 tattooed on his forehead for attention. Like, completely for attention, and then and he got it. He got every piece of attention he needed. Or if you look at the cast of Jackass, who goes through the concepts of like going through human pain for other people's entertainment, and that's what got them famous. It takes a certain amount of like stupidity but intelligence at the same time to be able to decipher things. Like, you see a lot of people that get into streaming and they don't do anything to become what they want to become. They just think, I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to play this video game, not really going to talk to chat, I'm going to be really dull and boring. Whereas, when you look at like you, I remember watching one of your streams, and you took the time to study radio show hosts to find out how they do what they do and the psychology behind it. And then that's how you approach your streams, is by making sure you're talking all the time. That it takes a certain amount of intelligence just to go out of your way to connect radio show hosts to streaming.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone else talk about that except you. It takes a certain kind of intelligence to be able to do these things. Like for let's see, another good example, Hitman Gaming, who is probably actually a really smart human being, but he's become the epitome of like a giant dick joke on Facebook gaming, and he's one of the biggest streamers because of it. It's just like, there's a certain amount of intelligence that plays into everything. And so like when I think about intelligence, I don't necessarily think about math equations or who can pass the history test. That's like a common thing humans see. They're like, oh, that guy's really smart because he's book smart. But you don't have to be book smart to be smart. You can be intelligent in so many different like musicians that can approach the intelligence behind their instrument and be able to do what they do and shit like that. I think that when it comes to your mental intelligence and the balance in your life, it doesn't necessarily have to be reading a book. It can be knowing how to work social media to get what you want out of social media. It can be knowing how to drive a boat. There's people out there that like love sailing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and to build on top of that too, intelligence is more of it's just the bigger arc here that you're going with all these examples is being able to see beyond the obvious and connect things together that haven't normally been connected before. So like when you're mentioning, a dick joke with streaming or a radio show host with streaming and whatnot, like it comes down to trying to take all of your previous experiences and figuring out how you can remesh them together in new ways and reconnect things in newer ways that people haven't seen before.
Right.
Because and even if you remix something and it ends up being something that already exists, that's still fine because you got to that through connecting something that you didn't initially see to begin with. So having your own personal discovery of things and going through it, that's part of the process. So if you're doing something, and even if somebody's already done it, it doesn't matter because you got to the same conclusion as somebody else. So that's part of you and your journey.
Right. And another example of that, like, because like people look at people and think they're stupid, and a big example of that recently was the Logan Paul-Jake Paul fiasco with the Mayweather fight.
Yep.
People see that and they're like, oh, they're so stupid, but you watched it, whether you paid for it or not.
But you watched it. Or you watch the tweets about it, you watch the headlines about it, and you're commenting on it.
You
right?
know about them. You
know about it.
That whole they did the publicity stunt, and Jake ran up and stole his hat and said "Got your hat" on some like little stupid high school shit, and then got his ass beat and went out and got "Got your hat" tattooed on him. And now, like, dude, like that's branding at its finest. That's literally like,
yeah,
you want to make money. That's the way to do it right there. There's no, like, intelligence has no limits, and some people do things very stupid on accident and it ends up getting them a lot. But a lot of people will intentionally do that. Like Tekashi 6ix9ine talks about it, like how he intentionally did the things he did to become famous. He didn't like who else was it that talked about it? XX Temptation. When I was listening to his interview, he was talking about how he had this visualization. He had a big transformation in his life. He was a very violent person. And at the beginning, his aspirations and his goals was to be the quote unquote villain, the bad guy. And that's the role he wanted to take. And over time, he realized that is not a fun role to live. But in order to become famous doing it, he had to do like a lot of bad shit on camera. So like he was talking about, there was this guy who stole something from his homie, and he saw it as it was just an opportunity because it was when WorldStar was blowing up. And essentially WorldStar was blowing up, and if you got on WorldStar, you were going to instantly become famous because WorldStar posts one of your videos and there's like instantly like 800,000 plus people within 24 hours that know about you. And this dude worked at McDonald's, and X walked up in McDonald's, jumped over the counter and beat the shit out of him on camera. And he's like, that's not a good thing to do to another human being. But he's like, I knew what I was doing, and I knew why I was doing it. And he's like, I did bad shit to get where I'm at. And then he goes into the karmic cycle and like all of this other stuff about how, he probably shouldn't have done that bad shit, and how when he saw it, that's how he approached it. But looking back, he wouldn't. That's not the person he is today, at least before he died. And so like, intelligence goes beyond, like you said, it's thinking outside of the box, but it's also just like understanding how things work.
Yes.
Whether it be society, social media, nature, whatever it may be, intelligence is just having an understanding of something. So like when you talk to someone that's smart about something, the reason they're smart about something is because they understand it. You could talk to someone who knows how to put a lawnmower together and take it apart, and you could feel like they're smarter than you because you don't know how to put a lawnmower together and take it apart, right? Like it goes into so many plays. So when you're trying to approach your intelligence balance, think about yourself. Don't think about others. Don't think about what other people do to feel smart or to approach their mental exercise. Because like Pac will be sitting behind a computer doing coding and shit And I don't know the first thing about it, but I guarantee you, if I pick up a guitar, Pac's gonna be like, like he's not gonna pick up a guitar and just start whipping shit out. I don't think you play guitar, right?
No, not yet. That's actually on my to-do list for 2021 is to start learning.
Which it's never too late to learn anything. Ever.
Exactly.
You could be 50 years
I have
old
a lot
and you
of
could be
lists
picking
of
stuff
things.
up. So that's the intelligence spectrum. A good way to view balance and intelligence. The next one is physical. I think we covered physical pretty well already, talking about different things you can do, like frisbee golf. It doesn't always have to be hard, et cetera, et cetera. Walking on the beach, going on hikes. Just do what makes you happy, and just make sure you're moving your body. It could be dancing. It could be hula hooping. It could be jump roping. It could be playing a video game that makes you do VR stuff or whatever. It could be a number of things that are making you physically balanced, and those play into everything else. So then,
Beat Saber on the Quest. Oh, love it.
do you have anything else physical besides Beat Saber? Is there anything else?
I mean, I do other VR games like boxing and whatnot and things, just to get me standing and doing, stuff. I mean, I go for walks a lot. I go for not really jogs, but I do a faster pace to try to get my heart rate up because I've got I got Apple Watch on, so I always track my heart rate and I try to hit certain zones and close up my rings and because there's a fitness app baked into it to help you stay fit and whatnot. And Apple's kind of crazy because the default requirement is to stand for 12 hours a day to try to be healthy and close out one of their standing rings. I'm like, who the heck has time to stand for 12 hours a day? This is crazy. I work a 9 to 5 behind a computer chair. I ain't standing for shit. So, but it's how I get around my watch reminds me to be physical, and that's how I help balance myself, because that's something that I don't always do because I'm such a geek. I'm always coding, working with technology and whatnot. I sit a lot. So I had to figure out how to balance that by getting a device that's going to remind me to be physical, to do certain things. So, and then setting a reminder to do an hour of VR stuff, at least so I'm standing for at least an hour or so, and being in my heart rate zone that I want to be in. And then every weekend I go for about a 10-mile walk with my best friend. And that was something I started doing this past year, because what else are you going to do during a pandemic? So part of social distancing and quarantining, me and my friend, we go for a 10-mile walk like a weekend. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and yeah,
there's a
yeah.
There's a trainer that trains. He has a superhero workout regimen, and essentially it's a specific diet, like a really healthy diet. But then like Captain America, Jason Momoa, Spider-Man, like a lot of the superhero actors that obtained the six-pack and the body, the biggest part of it was just walking 6 miles a day.
Yeah,
and that's actually how they lost a lot of their weight and did all of the stuff that they did. So walking is a big one.
It's
it
huge.
doesn't
It's
have
huge.
to be hard. It doesn't have to be difficult. It's just about balance and finding the part of yourself and what you're willing to do and the limits you're willing to push. So the next one is purpose. And as I was talking about earlier, you create your own purpose. For me, I have multiple purposes that I've been wanting to aspire towards. I've always been really big into animation and anime, and I'd love to learn animation, but that's like a really, really, really long-term goal that might not ever happen. But the things inside of that I am capable of starting to learn how to draw is one of them. So I've decided recently to get the materials, like just like a drawing pad and some pencils, and to take the time to do one drawing a day of like an anime character, and then just see how I progress and just take baby steps towards obtaining that skill. And my purpose behind that is I have a big project that I want to work on, and also possibly to become a tattoo artist, because my artist would want to apprentice. And so it's like seeing opportunities and things that you're passionate about and taking the baby steps towards achieving those things, and finding a purpose in that. And I feel like there would be a lot of purpose in becoming an artist that can draw, whether it be creating art for streamers, creating art for musicians, or being a tattoo artist and putting art on people's bodies that they're happy with for the rest of their life. There's a lot of purpose behind that. I want to write a book, and it's been something that's been on my mind a lot recently, and so I've been doing a lot of brainstorming for that, and I'm trying to dedicate time to that. And that's also mental intelligence. That's also sexiness. You know, like you can. I wrote a fucking book. You know what I mean? Like, it'll make you feel good in so many ways. Like the things ring off of each other. But outside of that, it's music. I want to go and record my music. I want to keep writing more music and expressing the things that I want to express through my music. And then the other big one is just streaming, and applying all of these things to my stream. So like pushing the book, if I, once I finally write it and everything, through the stream, pushing my music through the stream, stuff like that, and being able to touch people's lives with the things that I create and with the purposes that I create. And then, if I do become a tattoo artist, maybe people that are in my stream are going to be like, wow, I really fucking like what he does. I'm going to fly all the way out to him so that he can tattoo me. And then it has like special sentimental value. But ultimately, I think my purpose is just simply to connect to other human beings through my art and be able to help them push forward through their day to day, which this podcast has a lot to do with too, because in a way we're opening up and being ourselves, but it's in such a way that creates vulnerability and creates a vulnerable space for other people to feel comfortable being vulnerable. And that's something that people need emotionally, and that's a part of that emotional balance. Like right now we're approaching our emotional balance just by being here and talking about the things we're talking about. So that's
completely.
that's
100%.
a lot of my purpose.
I don't have a purpose anymore. I quit the day job. I'm kind of retired now.
You just
So
couches.
yeah, I pieced the fuck out of my purpose in life. I was just like, I tried to be the best hacker in the world. I try to be the best security professional I can be and whatnot. And, that just brought me a lot of stress, and I just, I knew where I wanted to be or where I wanted to be, not where I needed to be, but where I wanted to be. And just, it just I just put so much stress on myself, and it just wasn't healthy and whatnot. So I pieced out. I said, "Fuck it," and now I'm trying to find a new purpose. And to be honest, I think my purpose right now is just to relax for a while. I think my purpose is just to help out friends more, connect more with people, and just build better relationships that I couldn't do when I was trying to be something that not that I couldn't have been it, but it's just trying to find balance. You can't put all of your time and effort into just your professional side, and so I'm trying my best to balance my life, and that's when I pieced out of the day job and pieced out of trying to be the world's best hacker, and just being me, and it's great so far. But yeah, it's that's just, that my purpose right now. I'm trying to figure out purpose is just I don't have one right now, other than to just be the best human I can be now, and the best version of myself.
Well, that's a purpose in and of itself, is
Yeah.
taking the steps towards just being a positive light. And there's many ways
Yes.
you can approach that, whether it be being there for your friends, being there for yourself, being on this podcast. Maybe you go out and you take time to do something for the planet, or motivate others to do things for themselves and stuff. I think that's the coolest part about the purpose concept, is that we get to create our own purpose, and that there's endless possibilities. And there's phases in life, there's stages. So like, you had a stage in your life where hacking was a really big part of your life, and maybe all it was providing stress to yourself. And I think a deeper sense of purpose comes from how we help others and how we help ourselves, and maybe that wasn't really helping others or yourself in the long run in your perspective. And maybe that's why it was causing so much stress, is because you're putting so much effort into something that was giving you no reward to your sense of purpose. Because if we feel like we're doing something for nothing, it doesn't feel good. But if you feel like you're doing something and you're leaving an impact on even if it's just a footprint on the moon, you're leaving an impact on and providing that sense of purpose for yourself, which is a big part of tying into every other portion, being emotional, and your mental intelligence and everything in between, and even the spiritual side of things, which is the next phase, how you approach spiritual balance. And I think for me, I do connect a lot with nature. I don't meditate too often. I have kind of my own forms of meditation when I sit in my own head and think, but I find a lot of spiritual meaning behind listening to music, sharing music, writing music. I find a lot of spiritual meaning behind writing and inspirational people and inspirational speakers, and being a speaker myself and leading. And I find a lot of spiritual meaning behind all of these things. And I do believe in a higher power to the extent that is love. I think that the one supernatural thing that exists on Earth, I don't know about the rest of the universe, but on Earth, that we can't really wrap our minds around is love, and why it has so much power over so many living things, whether it be animals or humans. You know, like when you see the animals that are completely separate species, but they end up bonding and taking care of each other out of love and spending the rest of their lives with each other. Or when you see even humans in the progress that we're going through with the LGBTQ movement, Black Lives Matter, everything in between, all of that ties into love. And the problem coexists with hatred, which is just the absence of love. It's like darkness is the absence of light. And so like being that light and having that purpose is huge to me in my spiritual meaning, and providing love and loving one another, each and every person in whatever way that I can, provides me a lot of spiritual balance. And so when you see things like Black Lives Matter, like George Floyd's death, specifically, you know, that was an act of hate. It wasn't an act of love, what the cop did.
Right.
And so there was a lot of controversy around it because hate is wrong. And in the typical mindset, you don't see hate as being right. And so when it comes to that supernatural thing, it's like it has so much control. Whereas if it wasn't a powerful thing, or it wasn't like the thing that really circulates how we make our decisions and everything, then George Floyd would have died and no one would have cared. You know what I mean? It would have been like, okay, yeah, that's just a part of what happens in life. Like, if another man killed someone, there wouldn't be a law against it. But since love exists, that's what constructs everything. It constructs how we approach streaming. It constructs how you, and you don't realize it, but it constructs everything we do. And the people that are monsters in this world, the serial killers and the pedophiles and all of those darker parts, they just don't have love. And a lot of those people, the reason they became that or grew into that was because in their childhood there was a severe lack of love, and there was hatred, there was torture and torment. And so I think for me specifically, when I look into spirituality, I look at a lot of religions, because religions are simply practices of love. When you read the Bible, most, not all, but most of it is lessons or practices towards showing love to one another. When you read into Buddhism or Hinduism or Taoism, most of it is explaining how maybe it's not about loving others, sometimes it's about loving yourself, but overall the core value that you take away from most religions is love. And that's what provides, it's like spiritual food to have love. And when you go out in nature and you smell the flowers, that's you loving the existence, you know what I mean, loving that nature. And so for me, that's what captivates me. It's like when I love something, that in itself is a form of spirituality.
Yeah, love leads to passion, leads to compassion, leads to, you know, all these other things. So yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned that everything that we do, you know, or everything, you know, that's you just got very deep with me there, and I didn't even figure that out yet, that everything that we do is based on love. So yeah, I'm having a little bit of an epiphany moment right now, so I'm trying to figure that all out, because I'm like, holy shit, he's right. Like, I'm going through past experiences and whatnot. So yeah, no, that was very deep. I'm sorry, I don't have much to comment on that, because I'm still just processing what you just said, because that was very deep for me.
Yeah, I mean, we all go through experiences that create these things, but I think in my life, what I've found is the hardest part of love and being on that spiritual side is forgiving the people that have shown us hate in some way, shape, or form. That's one of the hardest parts, but you'll find so much spiritual relief and so much enlightenment, because at the end of the day, like, that's the finish line. When we talk about the finish line that doesn't exist, the finish line that doesn't exist is enlightenment. We don't reach enlightenment while we're alive. Like, you will not reach it. You can constantly chase it, but it's not something you can grasp you're not going to fully be able to wrap your mind around enlightenment. And when you die, you might. But no one knows what happens when we die. Like, what if death is enlightenment? What if when you die, that's when you cross that finish line? We don't know. There is no existence that tells us. But all I know is if there is some sort of heaven or hell or punishment or consequences after this life, for me, and this, so many people are going to see this differently. They're gonna see different things. But I think for me, love being the most powerful thing, that's what you want on your side. Like when you die, if you die and you can look back and be like, man, I lived as love. So like when people talk about God being love, or how we need to show others God, like in Christianity, their big thing is bringing people into their faith. I think it's like a lot of people are like, they see this cult organization where they're like, no, you need to read the Bible, you need to come to church. But what it actually means is, no, you need to come out and love people and show them God. That's what showing people God is showing them love, regardless of who they are or what they've done or their past experiences. That's how you show someone the face of God, and that's how you act out being God yourself. And reaching enlightenment is just being love. And no human being is capable of 100% being love, because all of us will act out in hate at some point in our lives. It just happens. And a lot of the times, those are the mistakes you make that are detrimental to how your life is affected by like this ripple effect. You may steal from someone and then end up in jail and fight someone, and like the effects, the cause and effects of hate are damaging, and then the cause and effects of love are always positive, whether you see it with the naked eye or not. It's just like when you show love, it spreads, it's contagious. That energy is contagious. And that's why Confide has been such an integral community, is because we spend time showing love to each other without even realizing it, and showing love to our communities. Like, it's not like we don't go into our communities, and none of us are perfect. No one's always going to be love, right? But we do our best to be able to confide in each other and allow our communities to be a part of that process. And that's like a big reason this podcast became a thing, was because it gives us the ability to show the side of streaming that other people don't see, that our viewers may not see, but to provide a safe place for everyone to feel love. That's why, like, when you're vulnerable and you feel hate, it hurts, and it hurts worse because you chose to be vulnerable. And that's why people close up and shell up. But when you're vulnerable and you're shown love, you're comfortable, and that's solace. And solace is everything. So I think when I approach spirituality and my balance with spirituality, that's what I'm constantly looking for, is people that can provide me with solace, and then being able to have my mental space open so that I can provide other with solace and with love, and show them that they're not alone in the world. And that's my purpose, overall. If we were going to talk about the biggest purpose, it's just love. It's just being that, whether it's to the planet, whether it's to my community, whether it's to my dog or my daughter or my boss at work. It's just to be love, ultimately, is to achieve that.
Definitely. I mean, that's partially why I wanted to get into streaming too, is build a community that was open and inviting, and bringing different people from different walks of life together and whatnot. And granted, it's been rocky because some people do some pretty stupid things at times. Very recently I'm not even gonna get into it, but essentially I want to bring together people that wouldn't normally interact, so then we can share each other's love. That's just a love of games, love of society, love of people and friendships and whatnot. That's always been a huge goal of mine. And I didn't even realize this until now when you mentioned love. It's love. It's love of people. It's scratching my itch to show love to the world. That's why I stream. So yeah.
Yep, and you have to come up with the ways that you can do that will touch as many people as possible. That's the end game is like, for me, it's not really wanting to become famous, but then we tie into the next subject, which is financial, and
that's a good segue.
It's such a big part of life, and for me, I think it's not that I would be happy. It's not that I would obtain happiness through this, but I think that a lot of stress and anxiety and everything would disappear, to the extent like financial stress and financial anxiety. It wouldn't be a thing anymore, if I became successful in my passion. So the problem with approaching, just like your job with technology and hacking and everything, it caused you a lot of stress. And even though you
Yeah.
may have enjoyed it and you were good at it, maybe you lost your passion for it. And the problem
Right.
with that is that's what differentiates work from play, is passion.
Hmm.
And so like, if you can do what you're passionate about and make enough money to get like to not worry about money, then you're not
Yeah.
working. You're fulfilling
Right.
that financial balance. So like my little brother, he's a really big nature guy and loves hiking, bike riding, all kinds of stuff like that. And he's really good at math. And he chose to go to school for accounting. And I told him before he ever went, I was like, you're gonna hate it. Because I know my little brother. I was like, you're gonna hate it. I was like, you're not gonna do it. He was like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a lot of money. And I was like, no, you're gonna start it, you're gonna hate it. And he went to college, did all of it, has all the payments that he owes the school and all of that shit. And guess who's not an accountant? Because he hated it. No one wants to
Yeah.
wake up and go do something that they don't enjoy for the rest of
No.
their life, regardless of how much money you make. And so
Yeah.
now he works for a company that is all about nature, and he gets a lot of discounts on all this stuff, but he makes a lot of money and he's climbed up in the company and he's getting ready to start making six figures, doing what he loves. And
Yeah.
he's so much happier for it, and he's able to do the things that he enjoys. And I think that a lot of humans think we have to follow the societal norm of going to college and doing something we hate just because it gives us money in the end.
Right.
And for streaming, a lot of people will get on stream and it'll be about money. It won't be about your purpose. It won't be about all of the other things that are balanced. It'll be about money. And
Here's the other thing too. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but and sometimes too, you start things for the wrong reason, but end up continuing it for the right reasons too. So so a lot of streamers maybe start it because they think that they're gonna make a lot of money and whatnot. Maybe they saw a bunch of articles on streamers that are getting six figures, $1 million deals, sponsorship deals, and then realizing, oh, that's not gonna be them right away. However, they started building a great community and love around that, and fell into streaming for the right reasons as well. So you can start things for the wrong reasons, but you can continue them for the right ones.
Right. Because I've met streamers that have done that, but then I've met streamers that have done the opposite, and that's all they cared about was money. And the thing is like, if you're streaming isn't easy.
No,
it's not.
Anything worth doing is not easy.
Like anything that's going to make you a lot of money isn't going to be easy. It's just a matter of making it and like, even if you love doing it, it's not going to be easy. Like, I want to write a book, it's not going to be easy. Even if I love it, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And there's no guarantee it'll be successful or not, right? But will I be happier if I die, like on my deathbed, and I look back and I'm like, wow, I achieved all of those things that I was passionate about? Or will I be happier? Because like, for me, there's been this big fork in the road. I have an opportunity. I could become a UPS driver and make six figures, and all I'd be doing is delivering packages every day, but I'd be sacrificing every day pretty much to be in a UPS truck and not do the things I'm passionate about. Or I can stay where I'm at and scrape by, which is what I've been doing. I've been scraping by on my bills so that I can approach the things that I'm passionate about and work hard on achieving those things. And if I died and looked back and was like, I chose to say fuck my passions for money, I wouldn't be happy. I already know I wouldn't be happy. And so what I'm doing is I'm approaching the things I'm passionate about. And I think with the financial situation, what a lot of people don't understand is you don't want just one stream of revenue. No matter who you are, that's not the key to wealth. You're not going to get rich off of one thing. Like, we're not all ninja. We're not going to get a $30 million contract, right? So like, for instance, with
but
he
still had he had to build up. He had to build up to that though, right?
Right.
Because he the very first time he ever made money, I think it was like couple hundred bucks from a Halo 3 tournament. And now he kept following his passion so much that and being in the right place at the right time and knowing exactly how to market himself. And yeah, now he's up to $30 million off of only making a couple $100 just on an Xbox 360 controller in Halo 3 and whatnot. But it took time. It took time for him to build on all of that and finding the right people to help him.
It's intelligence.
Intelligence.
And it's just like with you and your ability to use technology to achieve the things and to achieve the financial things that you can achieve. So like you went from being
Yeah.
the hacker for the company that paid you a lot to being able to
Mm-hmm.
build your own computer that can bitmine, right? And
Yeah.
when you have that ability, and that's another stream of revenue, and then streaming, it's another stream of revenue. There,
Rental income, because I've got rental, I got rental property right now. I rent out rooms and things
right,
along those lines. I do my own separate investments. So it's like I had a day job, I had rental income, I have other investments, and I was pretty smart with it, and also coding and whatnot, and also just doing like small jobs on the side and whatnot, things along those lines. So it's like having multiple streams of revenue, and that brought me a lot of financial stability because just with the day job being so stressful, like there are times where it's like I don't want to work today, boss man, and having issues in the day job and whatnot, and things along those lines. So it's nice. It was really nice knowing that I had other safety nets ready to go, and now I'm to a point in my life where now I realize I never had a safety net. I was the safety net this entire time. All these things I was doing, it's not all these other things that were affecting me and keeping me safe. It's just it was me this entire time. And what I did throughout all of this and the intelligence behind it and and figuring out all this stuff, there was no safety net. It was always just me trying to find other ways to offload having to do certain things I didn't want to do at certain times. And that's what led to my financial stability and now not needing a day job and coding and using that code to make money on the side and in a very automated way, since now that runs all the time on my computer, and not necessarily mining per se, but just coding in general and having things just automatically do things for me that I didn't have time for before. And yeah, so for me, my emotional happiness was kind of tied to my bank account balance. I wanted to make sure I didn't have to, get down to my last $20 again. Because back in college, I think I got down to like my last $20, something like that. I was this close to hitting zero, and that I had a moment of reflection there of like, I never want this ever happening again in my life, and that's motivated me to this day 10 years later to figure out new ways of getting money, because without it, like, I can't do the things I want to do, and because I'm a very extrovert person, I like doing a lot of different things. So having a steady flow of income or multiple sources of income to at least equate to somewhat of a steady flow of income, that's greatly helped my mental stability and not being so worried and anxious all the time, and taking away from, oh, if I go out with friends right now, that means I can't be doing this, for this financial reason or whatnot. Like, and feeling guilty to the day job when I do go out and cancel, trips for, work to go hang out with friends. Because if I cancel the business trips for my personal life, then I'm going to lose out on that financial opportunity. So now figuring out how to balance all that multiple source of income and revenue, that way then I don't have to pick and choose whether or not I want a personal life or a business life. Now it's I'm just me,
right.
and now I can do what I want to do.
And that financial release is nice, which
It's
I'm the
so nice.
opposite. I live on my last $5 every week. So like
Yeah.
I literally I'm one of the many people in America that don't have a savings account. And like it's
Yeah.
some people don't, they see that and they're like, wait, what? But it's like I think it's like 60 or 70% of Americans don't have a savings account. And
Yeah.
they do scrape by because we're all working part-time jobs that don't pay the bills. And so
Yeah.
and for
No,
me,
yeah.
like I said, I've chosen because I have the opportunity to make the money and be able to start that process. But um, I feel that I wouldn't reach happiness without approaching my passions. And so for me, I've been taking the steps towards, and streaming is a big one. And going from the harder part about it is the whole Facebook and Twitch thing right now is like, and I think anyone watching definitely needs to hear this, because it's a really big part of who we are as streamers. Is I'm not Facebook, I'm not Twitch, I'm me. And I think that when I watch these people switch platforms, and the other people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to watch you on Twitch because I like Facebook, it's kind of fucked up.
It is.
But it's a sad reality of streaming. I was listening to a podcast about it, because I would listen to people. It was the Pipeline podcast about becoming a streamer, and like a lot of big streamers would, like when they switch games, for instance, going from being like a Battlefield streamer to a new game, because no one wants to play one game forever, you lose about 60% of your audience.
Yeah.
Because 60% of them were only there to watch the game. And
yeah,
so like we're making, like, behind the scenes as a streamer, especially when you've reached points like I have. I reached a point where I was able to lean on my streaming for paying my bills, which I still do. I pay my car payment every month through my streaming. And
there you go. Yeah,
I had to take a mental health break, and I was gone for about a month, and I lost a huge chunk of my audience. And then Facebook started clumping down, and notifications stopped working, and frame rates were dropping, and Facebook couldn't keep streams up, and I got banned for 7 days for saying I will literally fight you to one of my friends in a sarcastic way, because they can't read sarcasm. And then I couldn't post live streams for an entire week, which is an entire week of pay. And that's things that viewers don't think about. They're just like, oh, I just like Facebook because it's Facebook. And then there's a whole nother side of it, is like Facebook's a lot more adults that have jobs and can actually support you and want to support you, whereas Twitch is a lot more little kids that don't have jobs and they don't have money to support you. And so you're not really making money streaming on Twitch. And so there's a big conflict of which platform to go to and everything in between. But I think what I would say to everyone that watches streamers is, if you support a streamer and you like them for them, regardless of the game they play, regardless of the platform they're on, follow them and support them. And that may not even mean financially. It could just mean just being there in chat. You have no idea how much it helps a streamer, even through the mental day-to-day. To like for me, seeing Jesus every fucking day is like a joy, because it's like now when I stream and Jesus isn't there, I'm like, where the fuck's Jesus? Because like it's like he's an integral part of my community and my stream, and he's half the content. Like half the content is you guys. It's not just us. It's the community, and that's why I don't plan on leaving Facebook, is because that's where my community is. And when I do go to Twitch, they're not going to be there, and so like I'm having to breach this middle point, like, because like my own girlfriend's like, I won't watch you on Twitch. I'm like, she's like, I just don't like Twitch, and I'm like, that's fucked up, but okay. Like I can't make you. I can't make you watch me in any way, shape, or form. But when it comes down to financial stability as a streamer, all we want to do is be able to do what we do and serve our passion. And a big part of that is like, if you don't comprehend it, for instance, right now I part-time stream. I stream like 4 hours a night. But that 4 hours is a part-time job. And if I don't make the $200-$300 a week doing it, then that part-time job isn't paying. That's time that I'm dedicating to no financial balance. And so I don't want to say that I stream for money, and I don't want to say that streaming for money is the way to go, but I do want to say that without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I wouldn't be able to dedicate those 4 hours a night. I wouldn't be able to dedicate the time that I dedicate to streaming and providing a safe place for, even if it's just 5, 3, 2, 10, 20 people. I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's a big reason I'm able to do it, is because you guys support me as a streamer. And so when it comes to financial balance in life, I scrape the fuck by, but I always find a way. I always find a way. For some reason, it
Yeah.
always just falls into place the way it needs to. I've never been homeless. I've never suffered without a roof, and I know I will never have to be in that situation, and that I'll always be able to be financially sound to the extent of my needs. Like I'll always be able to eat. I'll always be able to do the things I need to do. But the things that go into play that people don't see, like especially viewers and stream, like you guys donate money, and you think, oh, I'm just like throwing them $1 or $2, but like that shit goes a long way. When I get my Facebook check and I'm able to pay part of my bills, it's a good feeling, because it's like a lot of people, when I went to get my hail damage taken care of with my car, the guy that was working at the hail damage place was like, so what do you do for a living? And I was like, I stream video games. He's like, what? It's like, yeah, I literally play video games. And they're like, how does that work? And I'm just like, I play video games and people just give me money because they enjoy watching. And he's like, that's crazy. I've never met anyone that does that. And I'm like, it is crazy. It's really a crazy world to live in. It's like, you literally, I get to do something that I love doing.
We're kind of in the service industry, right? We're like entertainers. We're like the comedian, with the tip jar, that kind of thing. We're the performers on the street with violins, and guitars and microphones and whatnot, doing all that kind of thing. So we're very much in the service industry. We're here to provide a entertainment service, and it's a very interesting conversation, because I've also had conversations like that where it's like, oh, my day job, I'm a hacker, and at night I play video games, and they're like, what? And it's the same conversation of like, how does that work? Well, I hack computers during the day, and then I play video games at night, and people like watching me so much that they sub or Twitch Prime or bits and stars and whatnot. It's just like, it's crazy. It's a very interesting world that we live in now, where we can start making money off of very trivial things, where back in the 90s, before the internet and whatnot, I never thought me playing video games was ever going to turn into something that I could do in my free time and make money off of. That's so weird. And then also going back to the whole Facebook versus Twitch thing, I've lost like 95% of my audience now switching to Twitch, because all my viewers are tied to Facebook, and with that, losing 95% of the income from that. Yeah. It's crazy, with streaming and how it's a weird dynamic and ecosystem. It's very much tied to the platform. Once you start streaming on a platform, start streaming a game, you start building up an audience on that. And when you change games, you do lose like what average of 60% of your audience. But if you change your entire platform too, and not everybody comes with you, like that, so far, yeah, you lose everybody. I lost everybody basically, other than my very core followers. I went from streaming on Facebook 100 to 150 on average to now streaming to less than 5 people now on average on Twitch.
Yeah, it's so disappointing for me, because it's been 5 years of streaming, and I spent the first 2.5, 3 years on Twitch, and I grinded and I grinded and I grinded, and I played Fortnite and I played Fortnite and I played Fortnite and I played Fortnite, and there were regular basis where I had 60 to 100 viewers, but I never made, in the like 2.5, 3 years, I made maybe like $400.
Yeah.
With that audience, with 60 to 100 people watching, right?
That's crazy.
And so then I stopped wanting to play Fortnite, and my viewers disappeared. No one wanted to watch because there was no Fortnite, and I wanted to get into Dead by Daylight. And so I came over. I saw Facebook streamers, and it was kind of a fad, and I was like, huh. And it hadn't blown up completely, and so I was like, I'm gonna go to Facebook and start streaming Dead by Daylight. So I started, and it instantly gained traction. And I just started doing what I did on Twitch, and I was already established in all the things I'd learned from streaming on Twitch, so that it was easier for me to just be good at it, to be good at streaming. And I established this community through playing Dead by Daylight and eventually horror and story games. And I've had over 100 viewers on Facebook on multiple occasions before. But the difference is, the $400 that I made in like 3.5 years on Twitch, I made like $16,000 last year on Facebook.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a tremendous difference. I was able to not only pay my bills, but create my streaming studio, like buying my second PC, buying my PS5, buying my wife the camera that she wanted so that she could approach the photography passion she has. I was able to do things and pay my bills that I'd never been able to do before. And once I stopped playing horror and started getting back into Fortnite and took that mental break, it's dumbed completely down, and everyone isn't watching because I'm not. It's because I'm not doing what they want me to do, what they want to watch.
Right.
And so
yeah, it's a very subjective thing where the viewers always want you to do what they want, which is the whole thing with the service industry, right? It's the dance monkey dance mentality, right? It's do what I want for you if you want this dollar, that kind of thing. So streaming is very much a very difficult mental health challenge, because you have if you're a competitive person, you compete against not only yourself, but you compete against others and start comparing. And then you also, the emotional aspect of it, because you could have somebody come in that has a very, interesting story, either, somebody died in their family and you gotta console them and help them through that as well. So it's like you get hit with a lot of different mental hurdles, and then throw in the financial aspect and everything behind the scenes on top of that, and people not realizing, all the weight that you carry as a streamer with your community, and it builds and builds and builds. So we're very much in a very much high stress mental environment, because we don't know what we're going to do when we click the go live button. We don't know what's going to happen when we are live, and we're not going to really know how we're going to react to certain things until we see them. And that's and then going back to the whole
situations you can be put in that you don't.
So many.
Like I remember when I was on Twitch, some little shithead fucking found my arrest record and posted my mugshot to my Twitch chat. And I was like, I didn't want people to know who I was, because on Twitch everything's like really confidential, and it was like disturbing to experience that.
And so, to get doxxed.
For them to just like find out who I was and put that out, like, because like I got arrested for weed. That's not a big, like it's not a big deal. But like it's just like, wow, like this person really just went out of their way to try to like ruin my day, and so like I think I oftentimes see people that will, especially streamers on Facebook, they'll make really long-winded posts about how nobody watches me anymore, and I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this because I have 3,000 followers and only 5 people are watching a day. And it's like, well, boo fucking who, dude? Like, you can't, nobody's going to fucking, first off, no one wants to watch that or read that. You just sound like a little bitch. Yeah. But second off, like, if you're only streaming to have viewers and money, then you're not doing it right. You're not doing what you should be doing in the first place. If you're not having fun doing what you're doing, if there's no passion behind it, then it's just work.
Yes.
That's it. That's, that's with anything, whether it's streaming or music or whatever. If there's no passion behind it, then it's just work. And for me, like, although my funds have cut significantly since moving into playing more Fortnite or doing other things that I've been doing with my stream, taking my mental health break, I'm better for it, because regardless of the money that's being put in my pocket, my mental health is better. The game that I'm playing, I'm enjoying more and having more fun with. Whereas, like, if I were still playing Dead by Daylight every day, I would not be okay mentally.
Oh, I played that game straight for 2.5 years, roughly 2 years, since I started playing in 2018, and didn't until just earlier this year, quit it, because it just got to a point where I was like, I'm not having fun anymore. This is crazy. But yeah, playing the same game day after day after day and not really doing too much else. So because I don't believe in variety, really, because of that whole growth of an audience kind of thing. So and now changing that mentality now to being variety, though, on Twitch, because now I just don't care, because
Twitch is a better place to be variety.
Well, right, and I just don't care. Well, even if I was still on Facebook, it doesn't matter. I still would have I still would have just gone to variety, because I don't give two shits.
Well, that's
if
where
people are gonna watch me. Yeah. But yeah, I've stopped caring about that. And I've released myself from that mental prison I built for myself of like, oh, I have to keep getting more and more viewers. I have to get my averages up. I have to keep getting more and more shares, more and more likes, more and more comments, like, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, exactly.
The mentality that you have to do things you don't want to do to be successful is whack. And that's why, like, so from the beginning, if you're streaming just one game, which we've tailed off into a completely streaming talk, but we'll end it.
Yeah,
Really,
well, but
really quick.
it ties into the whole financial thing,
Yeah,
right?
financial
Because
balance. It does because
yeah,
it's a big part of it,
it
especially
is.
for
It is a
both
big
of
part
us
of
in our life. Essentially,
it.
when you're building something, whether it be a stream or a business or whatever, if there's something that you don't want to do, don't build it that way.
Exactly.
Because then you're gonna build this house, and maybe the front porch looks like shit because you built it a certain way and just dealt with it instead of doing what you wanted to do. And now for God knows how long, you're either gonna have to take so much extra time and effort to fix that shit, or you're gonna deal with it for the rest of your life. When you're building a stream or a business or anything, like if you build your stream off of one game, let's say it's Dead by Daylight, and all you play is Dead by Daylight, and even though that's not all you want to play, like even though there's nights where you're like, I don't want to play Dead by Daylight, but I have to, so I'm just gonna do it. Then in the long run, it's gonna take more time to fix that when you finally have to reach that, or you're gonna have to deal with it for the rest of your streaming career.
Yeah.
Those are that's the two things. So like the reason I stream what I want when I want is because I have been obtaining viewers that will watch me play pretty much anything. And like even some of my mods will come in and be like, ew, Fortnite, like Fortnite sucks. But then guess who's sitting in my stream watching me play Fortnite after saying that? Because the community that I want to build is one that will follow me, not follow the platform and not follow the game. One that will follow me, and support me, so that I can have this community anywhere we go, even if it's to Twitch, even if it's to D Live, even if even if we stream to YouTube, like who cares, as long as we have each other in the family that we're forming. And so like if you approach it with that mentality, even if you're taking just the baby steps and doing it the long and slow way, because it may be faster and easier to do it with a let me just stream this one game all the time to this one platform. It may be faster and easier to approach it, but in the end it's going to be work and it's not going to be passion. Whereas if you approach it with a passion, you're just going to feel good about it.
Yeah, and take it like this for the financial aspect is being very entrepreneurial, because if you build something from scratch, like a business or a stream or a community and things like that, or a brand even around that too, that is more satisfying than building up somebody else's company and being an employee for somebody else, right? Because you can still find passion in your work, but you're going to feel way more fulfilled building and working on something that you want to do and figuring out how to monetize that on your own. It's going to be so satisfying when you do make that first dollar. And so that's why streaming was so important to me, is I wanted to build something for me that was going to potentially lead to financial stability without needing a day job. But at least for that at least initial part of it, it was I want to build something so I can feel fulfilled in what I do outside of the day job and find passion in other things. So that was my whole thing, is just being entrepreneurial to feel fulfilled.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think with financial balance, we've just worn the shit out of that topic, and that's the seven. That's the 7 needs. That's the balance. The goal in the long run is to be able to obtain and have that balance between those seven basic needs, and to focus on the things you need. For me, like specifically right now lately, it's been like I need to focus on my physical health more, and probably my financial a little bit more, but aside from that, chasing my purpose and chasing my passions and doing what makes me happy. But some people are, they may have all of those things and they need, like for you, I know we've talked a lot recently, and you're very financially sound and you have balance in a lot of other places, but in your emotional aspect, maybe having a significant other or whatever it may be, that's where you need to start finding your balance, and that's what you've been working on. And I think everyone chases things in different ways, but comprehending how they all tie into each other, and then assessing yourself, not just daily, but like maybe do like monthly check-ins with yourself, like looking at this past month, what seemed like it wasn't balanced enough, or what seemed like I wasn't giving it enough time, and then making and setting goals to take baby steps towards maintaining and creating a balance between the 7.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you're correct in that. Is for the last 12 years since I started doing security and hacking and whatnot, my number one goal was financial stability and not having to worry about where am I gonna find my next $5 for lunch, or dinner or anything along those lines, or how am I gonna pay for books for college at the same time. Like having to decide between inanimate books and sustenance is a very hard choice to make when you're a teenager just trying to get into college, or just in college for a year or so. But no, you're right. So I think my goals now are shifting from, now that I've balanced all of that financial hardship into now something that is very stable. Now, because I gave up a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships, and emotional stability, it's now I'm focusing more on building stronger connections with people and finding a significant other and things along those lines. And yeah, it's that's my goal now. Now that I've given up the day job, it's that I need to be more a part of people's lives.
Well,
I think
even that isn't. It's not easy. It's still
no,
it's still
no.
a difficult process to take baby steps towards. But just know that you're taking these baby steps, and then when you look back and you see all the distance and you see the ups and downs and everything, you're gonna see the things that you're achieving for yourself and for your own mental health and for your own emotional availability, and you're gonna be that much closer to enlightenment. And to be able to
Exactly.
just to keep that comprehension that there is no finish line. Just there is forward and there is backwards, but there is no finish line either way. You're just gonna you gotta go. That's about it.
Progress, not perfection. Chat.
So,
Progress, not perfection.
aside from that, another reminder: anyone that sees the pinned comment with that Spotify playlist, please put music on there that affects you and your mental health, whether it's happy, sad, whatever it may be. You're helping out a lot more people than you know by putting music on that. Just know that you are not alone if you are struggling out there. There are so many people in your corner that you don't know about, including us. If you ever need to come into anyone's stream within Confide, they're always open and available. And when we're not open, we're very good about being honest and expressing it. Like for me, when I don't have mental space, I always will be like, yo, I don't really have mental space for this right now. But I do have other people that are open and available. I do have connections that can help people find free therapy and things like that as well. So you can feel free to reach out to me if you need to get help. If you're trying to find help, I have resources that can definitely help you in that path. Just don't give up. Take your baby steps. Create your neurological pathways. Know that we love you, each and every one of you, and that you are appreciated. Even if you just stayed in here for 5-10 minutes and listened to like a tiny chunk of what we said, I hope that you took away something. All of these episodes are posted to my YouTube, raw and uncut, for anyone that needs to listen. And at some point, once financial stability becomes more of a thing, I will pay to put it on Spotify and Apple Music so that people can just listen when they want to listen. But aside from that, we've been going for 2 hours now, and usually our cutoff mark is 2 to 2.5 hours. So I think we've very gracefully covered a subject that me and Pac didn't even remotely prepare for. We just kind of like, hey, this is something that I want to do, and Pac was like, all right, let's do it. And we just got in here and approached it from a very honest perspective of where we are. And so I think that it was a good episode. It was fun. There's a lot of back and forth. If you guys have not followed Pac-Man Do on Twitch or Facebook, his Facebook page is Pac-Man Do, his Twitch is Pac-Man Do 246. If you type !confide in the chat, which I think I can actually do, you can see him and everyone else that's in. Oh, that's on my page. I have to do it for my personal. And you can see everyone else that is on Confide so that you can follow them. They all provide a very safe atmosphere to be able to be vulnerable and talk about things like this. I've had most of the Confide members on episodes, and we'll have more of them in the future. I'm sure you'll see Packet on another episode before you even know it. Remember that.
Heck yeah.
Next weekend, we are doing our confidence episode with a confidence coach. So anyone that's been struggling with confidence, be there. It'll be on the 27th. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll tune into that. I always could use more confidence.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy, and he'll make time for you guys individually as well. I'm gonna kind of let him lead the way. I'll have like some sort of little small structure to it, but he knows what he's doing. He's very. This is what he does for a living. Is confidence coaching. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Once again, anyone that spent any type of time here or anything in between, we appreciate you. We love you, and we hope to see you on the next one. And until then, we'll see you in our streams and shit.
Love you guys. You guys are awesome.
I'm gonna raid someone random. I'll raid Igor. Go give Igor some love.
There we go. It just popped up on my phone right there to join.
They are fixing raids. That is a thing.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Like I said, I think Facebook's fixing stuff.